This is the GARIS Masculist MGTOW flyers, that is 2 3-page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. This is flyer number 393, entitled "Why Are Women Sexual Cowards?" This flyer claims that women are sexual cowards largely for two reasons. One is that women learned many generations ago that it was lethally dangerous to be equally sexually aggressive with men as vice versa, due to men's 3 times greater strength across the chest than women's. Plus the fact that men dislike being controlled by women as adults, since it reminds them of the control they felt by femalien giants called mothers when they were small boys. So choose as adults with full male strength never to be subjugated that way again. Even the most ideologically aggressive of feminazis are sexually passive, often using fakeup when it comes to sexually attracting a man she wishes to mate with. The flyer itself. Why Are Women Sexual Cowards? By Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. Why are women such sexual cowards, so timid when it comes to getting some man they are sexually interested in to sex them? Why don't women who fancy some man just go up to him and tell him she's sexually interested in him and proposition him up front, explicitly, brazenly? I notice that even quite aggressive feminists are extremely reluctant to approach a man sexually in an explicit, erotic manner, as though there is some hard wiring in her brain, resulting from thousands of generations of evolution, instructing her not to do that. That is my strong suspicion, and I'm wondering where it came from, why it evolved to be like that, and what purpose would such an evolution serve. Why am I talking about such a topic? If you look at the modern feminist movement, a lot of its energy is about sexual harassment, rape, undesired male sexual attention, Me Too, etc. When I come across such phenomena, the cynical mind I have asks the obvious question, that if women took sexual initiatives with men at roughly the same rate as vice versa, then there would not be this feminist emphasis on sexual harassment of women by men, since there would be an equal dose of sexual harassment both ways. Men would be complaining equally about undesired sexual attention from women, especially from sexually, facially, bodily, unattractive women, whom the more attractive men would find repulsive, rejectable, and be annoyed by all this undesired female sexual attention. From a male masculist point of view, women are real sexual cowards. They don't dare, in most cases, be explicit with men about their female sexual desires towards the men they find sexually attractive, especially towards those men they find extremely attractive who make their vaginas wet. This female sexual cowardice, this female reluctance to make explicit sexual initiatives with men, may seem puzzling at first, since women have an overpowering need to connect with men, because the first biological imperative of women is to grow and raise the next generation. If a woman does not reproduce, then she may as well not have existed, because when she dies, and when all those who knew her have also died, then her existence on this earth would have been for nothing. The earth would not have been any different if she had never existed, in brackets, unless she was one of the extremely rare famous women who actually made a mark on society. Even with men, such fame is rare, but amongst women it is extremely rare, almost non-existent. Close brackets. Women have two primary functions in life. The first is to select a male reproductive partner who satisfies her hypergamous instinct to mate up with a superior male, whose superior genes she can give to her children, so that her children's genes are superior to hers, which is good for the species, so was selected for, so evolved, and all women have it. A woman needs not only the sperm of the man to get pregnant, she also needs him to stick around for years so that he can help her with resources, so that the odds of her kids surviving to reproductive adulthood are increased. The second major task is, of course, to grow and raise the next generation by sexing with her chosen male, getting pregnant, growing the baby, birthing it, and raising it to reproductive adulthood. It's very difficult for a woman to simultaneously raise children and to hunt at the same time. The two sexes evolved to perform specialised tasks. The men hunted away from the home cave, and the women, who are often pregnant, stayed at home with infants on their backs, raising them, keeping them alive. The human female evolved to become the sexiest of mammals, to become prostitutes to men, using sex to bribe men to provide women with resources, that is, meat, especially in times of starvation, when men would be very reluctant to part with their scarce male-hunted meat to give it to some useless, vulnerable female. She evolved to be in sexual heat every day of the month so that she could sexually bribe a man who had resources, who had meat to give to her and her babies, in exchange for her giving him what he really wanted from her, that is, the sexual ecstasy of ejaculating inside her, flooding his brain with pleasure hormones, making him feel blissful for some minutes. So if women evolved to be highly sexual with men in order to be able to bribe men with female sex, then why didn't women evolve an explicit sexual approach style with men? Why did women evolve the behaviour to take sexual initiatives with men, since it was so much in their female self-interest to get the sperm from the quality men they fancied, to obtain the quality DNA they wanted for their kids? Why are women so sexually passive, so sexually cowardly towards telling men that they are sexually interested in a certain man and really want to sex with him? Why, for example, is there such a huge fakeup industry where women paint their faces with artificial colours so as to make themselves look more attractive than they are, hence the MGTOW term fakeup instead of the usual makeup? One can understand why women go to such lengths to make themselves as attractive as possible to the men they want to mate with. When one wanders through today's department stores, typically there will often be some 3 times more surface area of the store devoted to women's beauty goods than for men. Women have their clothes areas, their makeup areas, their skin creams, etc., to make them look younger and more fertile than in reality, etc. Wandering around a department store makes one very conscious of the great lengths women go to make themselves look attractive to men, and thus be in a more competitive position relative to other women for the attention of the most desirable men, whom these women want to mate with to satisfy their hypergamous instincts. So just why do women, when making all this effort to attract men's attention to mate with them, not simply approach men and sexually proposition them the way that men do towards women? The feminists are pushing for equal rights and opportunities for women, so why don't women, not even the most aggressive feminists, just go up to men and say to them, quote,
"I find you sexually attractive. Would you like to sex me?"
There must be some deeply ingrained, hardwired, evolved constraint on women against behaving like this, since even the most forceful of feminists don't do it. Why? This is the main question of this flyer. To attempt to answer it, I'll play devil's advocate. I'll imagine that women did evolve to take equal sexual initiatives with men, and consider the consequences. So, imagine that women were equally aggressive sexually as men. What would have the consequences been for women if that were the case? Imagine some random initial sexual encounter between a man and a woman. The woman is definitely less sexually attractive than is the man. So what will the man do? He takes a quick look at her, that is, for about 1/10 of a second, the time needed for his brain to judge the attractiveness level of the woman, and decides quickly, "Niet." So what does he do? To tell her that he is not interested, and not only that he is annoyed by her undesired sexual attention. So he tells her he is not interested. But this woman is equally sexually aggressive as he is as a male. And furthermore, she has decided that this man is the one she really wants to be the father of her kids. So she persists. She makes physical suggestions to him, trying to arouse his sexual desire for her. But each time he looks at her, he shudders, thinking, quote, "I'm worth far more than this hag. She's ugly, fat, dumb, and repulsive. Yuck. Get the fat, ugly bitch out of here. I don't want to be harassed by this repulsive creature." So he pushes her away, but to no avail. She is very, very persistent, not accepting any of his negative gestures towards her, driven by her powerful desire to mate with him, to get his superior DNA. He pushes her away several times with growing force, but she keeps returning until his patience with her snaps, and he then uses his greatly superior male force that women have been sexually selecting for in men for thousands of generations. Digressing now somewhat, women sexually preferred men who were taller, bigger, stronger, fiercer, and smarter than women, because taller, bigger, stronger, fiercer men were more able to defend their woman from other taller, bigger, stronger, fiercer men within the tribe, and certainly against the male warriors of enemy tribes. The average man is 3 times stronger than the average woman across the chest. So when the man above finally loses patience with the sexually aggressive woman above, he explodes in rage due to the 10 times higher testosterone levels in his blood that were also selected for by female sexual preference over thousands of generations. In fact, all characteristics that men possess were sexually selected by women, since women have always had a reproductive monopoly. It's the woman who selects which man will ejaculate in her to get her pregnant. If a woman dislikes some characteristic in a man, she simply refuses to mate with such a man, so that particular male characteristic is not given the opportunity to reproduce itself. In other words, men are the way they are because women sexually selected men to be that way. That is, the way that women wanted men to be. This is the end of part 1.